Hi all, this is Nell once again from the Overclocker magazine. As you can tell, we have something a little bit different from a hardware review today. So it occurred to me while I was testing some hardware a few weeks ago, just how much of a difference there actually should be by now between a budget air cooler such as this one and a premium high-end one like the ROG RYOU II ARGB. Yes, we all know the AIO is going to be vastly superior, but just how much better it was is the question I actually wanted to answer. And what better way to test that than on a CPU that's capable of outputting copious amounts of energy or heat in the Intel Core i9-14900K. Before the numbers and all that, however, what had occurred to me over the last few AIO units I've been testing, and probably since last year actually, late last year, is how much I actually value the seamless user experience between the motherboard and the AIO. That is to say, where possible, I'd rather have a motherboard and AIO from the same vendor. In this case, it's obviously going to work because I'd be pairing an ROG motherboard like the Z790 Apex Encore we have here and the ROG RYOU AIO. What that means to me and why I appreciate it so much is because all the RGB and fan behavior is set in a single application, especially where the visuals are concerned. It's one of the things I used to take for granted until I had the misfortune of having to put together a system where the user bought a motherboard, AIO, DRAM, VGA, and chassis all from different vendors. And worst of all, the chassis had its own RGB fans. So as you can imagine, the entire experience was royally unpleasant. Back to the cooling differences, however. As you can see, even at the default settings, the air cooler, despite its noble and best efforts, finds itself throttling very quickly, and performance simply tanks to the point of defeating the purpose of using such a high-end CPU. The clocks settle at such a low frequency that in reality the CPU ends up delivering 14600K like performance, if not worse. Now when you contrast that with the ROG RYOU II cooler, as expected, the CPU continues to operate normally. Yes, we do hit 100 degrees or a very high temperature that many of us are uncomfortable with, and I do know we all don't like to have our CPUs at such high temperatures, but you have to realize that they're actually designed to tolerate this temperature, and the situation that I'm putting in front of you is rather unrealistic, but it does help to illuminate to me, and hopefully to yourselves as well, the differences between these two cooler types. Outside of flashing the BIOS and maybe perhaps using it with a Core i3, this kind of air cooler is simply light years behind what a modern high-end AIO like the ROG RYOU can achieve. In a way, you actually appreciate how influential PC cooling technology has been on CPU development in general. I mean, we would not have CPUs with 150, 250 watt or even higher TDPs if coolers capable of handling these thermal loads didn't exist. That said, I didn't discover anything new here, and I doubt you did either. But I did manage to satisfy my curiosity, and at the very least I've proved to myself once again why going forward, obviously where possible as I stated, I'll only ever build a machine with a matching motherboard and AIO, provided that all of that is possible and worthwhile. Either way, that's all for today's video, guys. I'll be working on a separate review for this AIO, I hope, and hopefully I should be able to compare it to other AIOs I've been testing recently. Until then, let me know your opinion on air cooler versus AIOs, and more importantly, what is your experience and what has your experience been when mixing different vendor gear in your system? Until next time, remember to share, like, and subscribe if you haven't, but most of all, take care of yourselves and peace.